The paper in my hand was still warm from the hospital printer. After 2 years of needles, hormones, and tears, finally, those beautiful words, pregnancy confirmed. 8 weeks. My hands shook as I drove home, tears streaming down my face. Happy tears. The kind I'd forgotten existed. I kept touching my stomach at red lights, whispering to the tiny life growing inside me. Daddy's going to be so happy. We tried so hard for you, little one. The house was quiet when I pulled into our driveway on Berkshire Avenue. Parker's BMW was there, parked crooked like always. He must have come home early from work. Perfect. I couldn't wait another second to tell him. I practically flew through the front door, my heels clicking on the marble entryway he'd insisted we needed. Parker, baby, where are you? I have the most amazing news. No answer. The living room was empty. His briefcase sat abandoned on the coffee table, papers spilling out. Strange. Parker was meticulous about his work documents. Then I heard it. A sound that didn't belong in my house. A moan. Soft, feminine, coming from upstairs. My stomach clenched. No, I was being paranoid. The fertility treatments had made me emotional, irrational. Parker always said so. This was probably nothing. Maybe he was watching TV in the bedroom. But TVs don't giggle like that. Each step up the stairs felt like walking through quicksand. My legs were lead, my chest tight. The master bedroom door was open. The bed still made from this morning when I'd carefully arranged the pillows just how Parker liked them. The bathroom door was cracked open, steam pouring out like smoke from a dragon's mouth. I could hear the shower running. And voices. 2 voices. God, I've missed this. Parker's voice, rough and breathless. She'll be at the hospital for hours. Poor Marjorie. Still thinking those vitamins are gonna give her a baby. That giggle again. I knew that giggle. Stacy. My best friend since college. The woman who held my hand through every failed pregnancy test. Who cried with me when the first IVF round didn't take. Who promised me everything would work out. My legs wouldn't move. I stood frozen in the hallway, my body refusing to process what my ears were hearing. The pregnancy papers crumpled in my grip, the crinkling sound lost under the shower's spray. 3 more months and we can stop pretending, Stacy said. I'm already showing. People will start asking questions. Let them ask, Parker growled. Once the divorce is final, they'll know anyway. God, you're beautiful. My baby looks good on you. His baby. On her. The room spun. I grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. 2 years. 2 years of injections, hormonal treatments that made me sick, weight gain that made Parker look at me with disgust. 2 years of him holding me while I sobbed over negative tests, whispering that we'd keep trying, that our baby would come when the time was right. The vitamins were genius, Stacy laughed. She takes them so religiously. Poor thing actually thinks she's broken. She is broken, Parker said, and I heard the cruel smile in his voice. Just not how she thinks. Broken in the head maybe, thinking I'd want kids with her. She got so fat from the treatments. Disgusting. Not like you, baby. You're perfect. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. My free hand went to my stomach, to the little life they didn't know about. The miracle that happened despite their cruelty. When are you going to tell her? Stacy asked. After you have the baby. I want the divorce to be clean. She's been paying all the bills, thinking she's contributing while she can't give me children. The house is in my name. She'll get nothing. And then we can be together. Really together. Forever, baby. You, me, and our son. Son. They knew it was a boy. They'd been to appointments together. While I went alone to my treatments, Parker had been with her. Holding her hand during ultrasounds. Hearing their baby's heartbeat. The shower turned off. I stood there for 5 more minutes. 5 minutes that felt like 5 hours. 5 minutes where my old life died and something else was born. Not just the baby inside me, but something darker. Something with teeth. Finally I pushed the door open. They were wrapped in MY towels. The expensive white ones from our honeymoon in Greece. Water dripped from their bodies onto the marble floor I'd picked out when we renovated. Parker's hands were on her waist, her pregnant waist. 4 months along, maybe 5. She was glowing in a way I never had. They both turned to look at me. I waited for the shock, the scrambling for excuses, the fake apologies. Instead, Stacy smirked. Her lips, swollen from kissing MY husband, curved into a smile that made my blood turn to ice. Parker's face wasn't guilty. It was annoyed. Like I was a telemarketer interrupting dinner. Why? The word came out broken, pathetic. Why are you doing this to me? Stacy actually laughed. She threw her head back and laughed like I'd told the world's funniest joke. Oh, Marjorie. Sweet, stupid, pathetic Marjorie. You were supposed to be at the hospital for another 2 hours, Parker said, like the problem was my timing, not their betrayal. My hand was still clutching the pregnancy results. I held them up with trembling fingers. I'm pregnant. The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then they exploded into laughter. Not nervous laughter or shocked laughter, but deep, belly-aching laughter. Parker had to hold on to the counter. Stacy wiped tears from her eyes, her whole body shaking with mirth. You're pregnant? Parker wheezed between laughs. That's impossible. The test confirmed it. 8 weeks. My voice was small, lost under their cruel amusement. You don't know what you're doing to yourself, Parker said, his laughter dying into something meaner. Better go find the father of that bastard. What? The room tilted. Parker, it's yours. We've been trying. We haven't been doing anything, he snarled. I've been giving you vitamins for 6 months. Vitamins, Marjorie. Not fertility drugs. So whoever knocked you up, it wasn't me. Stacy stepped forward, her hand on her rounded belly. You're so dumb, you don't know that Parker's been switching your IVF medicine with vitamins. I'm the one carrying his real child. His only child. The cruelty of it was artistic. Every morning for 6 months, Parker had handed me pills with orange juice, kissed my forehead, told me, this time will work, baby. He'd rubbed my back when the placebo pills made me think I was having side effects. He'd held me when I cried about my broken body. You were only here to pay the bills, Parker said, his hand moving to Stacy's stomach with a tenderness he'd never shown me. Not to carry some bastard child. They walked past me like I was furniture. Stacy's shoulder deliberately bumped mine. Parker didn't even look back. They left me standing in the bathroom, water pooling at my feet, my reflection in the mirror showing a woman I didn't recognize. Hollow eyes, pale skin, hands that wouldn't stop shaking. I stood there for an hour. Maybe 2. Time stopped meaning anything. Then I felt it. A flutter in my belly. So soft I might have imagined it. My miracle baby. The one that shouldn't exist but did. And in that moment, something crystallized in my mind. They thought I was weak. They thought I was stupid. They thought I would crumble and disappear. They had no idea what they'd just awakened. Before we continue, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We love seeing how far our family of revenge seekers reaches. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. Your support helps us uncover and share even more jaw-dropping tales of betrayal, payback, and justice. Now, let's get back into the story. I didn't cry. That's what surprised me most as I sat in the kitchen after they left. Parker had gotten dressed and walked out with Stacy, not even bothering to make an excuse. Her car had been parked 2 streets over. They'd been doing this for months and I'd been too blind to see it. The house felt different now. Poisoned. Every surface held a memory that was probably a lie. The kitchen counter where Parker had proposed, had he already been texting someone else? The couch where we'd spent countless nights planning our future family. Was he laughing at me even then? My phone buzzed. A text from Stacy. Pack your things. Parker will send divorce papers. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. The audacity of it made my hands shake. But not with sadness. With rage. Pure, crystallized rage that felt like power flowing through my veins. Another text. The house is in Parker's name anyway. You have no claim to it. That's where they were wrong. The house was in both our names. I knew because I'd handled all the paperwork. Parker couldn't be bothered with boring details. He just signed where I told him to sign. In fact, Parker couldn't be bothered with most things. Bills, taxes, insurance, investments, all me. He made the money, or so he claimed, and I handled everything else. I knew every password, every account number, every financial detail of our life. I also knew things Parker thought were secret. Like the offshore accounts he'd opened to hide money from the IRS. I'd found the statements months ago while organizing his office. At the time I'd convinced myself it was for tax purposes, legal loopholes rich people used. Like the embezzlement from his company. He'd gotten drunk at his office Christmas party and bragged to me about how he'd been skimming from client accounts. They're so rich they don't even notice, he'd laughed. I'd been horrified but said nothing. Wives don't testify against husbands, right? Like his brother Nathan's inheritance that Parker had stolen through forged documents. Nathan, sweet Nathan who'd always been kind to me, who'd been cut out of their grandmother's will through Parker's manipulation. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and started making lists. Not emotional lists about my feelings or my broken heart. Strategic lists. Assets. Passwords. Evidence. Weaknesses. Parker thought he was so smart, but he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated me. For years I'd been invisible to him, just the chunky wife who couldn't give him babies. But invisible people see everything. And I'd been watching for a very long time. My phone rang. Parker. You need to be out by tomorrow, he said without preamble. No. Excuse me. I said no, Parker. This is my house too. My name is on the deed. That's a technicality. It's the law. If you want me out, you'll need to legally evict me. That takes time. Months usually. You vindictive little. I hung up. Then I blocked his number. He could communicate through lawyers like a civilized person. The baby fluttered again, stronger this time. I placed my hand on my stomach. Don't worry, little one. Mommy's going to take care of everything. The plan takes shape. I didn't sleep that night. Instead I worked. First I secured evidence. Screenshots of Parker's offshore accounts. Photos of documents he'd hidden in his office safe. Yes, I knew the combination. He'd used our wedding date thinking he was romantic. Recording of conversations I'd secretly taped months ago when his behavior became erratic, just in case. Second, I protected myself. I opened new bank accounts in my name only, transferring half of our joint savings. Legally my right. I also transferred my paycheck deposit to the new account. Parker would find out eventually, but not immediately. He never checked the accounts. That was my job. Third, I researched. Stacy's social media told a story she probably didn't mean to share. Photos from 5 months ago at a bar, clearly drunk. Posts about feeling sick in the morning starting 4 months ago. A deleted but cached post about making the biggest mistake of my life 6 months ago. She'd been pregnant before she started sleeping with Parker. The timeline was clear if you knew where to look. I wondered if Parker knew. Probably not. He saw what he wanted to see, and what he wanted was to hurt me. Stacy had given him the perfect weapon. But Stacy had her own agenda. Her credit was destroyed. I found bankruptcy filings from 2 years ago. She'd been evicted from her last apartment for non-payment. Her car was about to be repossessed. She needed a savior, and Parker, with his perceived wealth and stability, was perfect. Except Parker wasn't as wealthy as he pretended. The house was mortgaged to the hilt. His BMW was leased. The only reason we appeared rich was because I meticulously managed our finances, robbing Peter to pay Paul, making it all work. Without me, Parker's house of cards would collapse within months. Maybe weeks. I smiled for the first time since finding them. It wasn't a nice smile. The lawyer. The next morning, I drove to the offices of Crawford, Pemberton and Associates. Reynolds Crawford had handled my father's estate, and more importantly, he owed me a favor. I'd helped his daughter get into Exeter Academy by calling in a connection. Marjorie, Reynolds said, looking at the stack of evidence I'd brought. This is comprehensive. I've had all night to prepare. Your husband is an idiot. Soon-to-be ex-husband. Reynolds smiled like a shark scenting blood. What do you want out of this? Everything, I said simply. I want everything he has, everything he loves, everything he thinks he's entitled to. I want him to end up with nothing but the clothes on his back and the knowledge that I'm the one who took it all. That's aggressive. He's been poisoning me for 6 months, Reynolds. Switching my fertility medication with vitamins while his mistress carries his child. That's not just cruel, it's assault. Reproductive coercion. And that's before we get to the embezzlement, tax fraud, and theft from his brother. Reynolds's eyes gleamed. You're right. We can bury him. But Marjorie, are you prepared for how ugly this will get? I thought of Parker's hands on Stacy's pregnant belly. The tenderness he'd never shown me. The laughter when I'd announced my pregnancy. Let it get ugly, I said. I want him to suffer. And the mistress? Stacy has her own problems. I'll deal with her separately. You've thought this through. I've had years to think, Reynolds. I just didn't know I was thinking it until last night. He nodded slowly. All right. We'll file immediately. I'll request an emergency order freezing assets so he can't hide money. With what you've shown me, we can make a strong case for fault-based divorce, which means better settlement terms for you. And criminal charges? That's up to the DA, but with this evidence? I'd say federal prison is a real possibility. Good. Let him rot. There's one more thing, I said, placing my hand on my stomach. I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. Reynolds's eyebrows shot up. The timeline doesn't work if he's been giving me vitamins for 6 months. But legally, any child born during marriage is presumed to be the husband's unless proven otherwise. He'll demand a paternity test. Let him. By then the divorce will be final and he'll be in federal custody. The baby is mine, Reynolds. Just mine. The unraveling begins. Parker came home that night in a rage. I heard his BMW screech into the driveway, the door slam. He'd been served divorce papers at his office in front of his colleagues. Reynolds had made sure of that. Marjorie! He roared, storming into the house. I was sitting calmly in the living room sipping peppermint tea. Good for morning sickness, though mine came in the evening. Yes. You bastard. You served me at work. Language, Parker. You know I don't like profanity. His face was purple with rage. You think you're smart? You think you can take me down? I'll destroy you. You're nothing without me. You're a fat barren cow who... Actually, I'm pregnant, remember? Though you seem convinced it's not yours, which is interesting. How would you know that unless you'd been sabotaging our attempts to conceive? He stopped cold. That's not, I never said. You said you'd been giving me vitamins for 6 months. I have it recorded, actually. Did you know Illinois is a one-party consent state for recordings? I can record any conversation I'm part of. You recorded us? I've been recording you for months, Parker. Every cruel word. Every drunken confession. Every threat. He lunged at me then. I was ready for it, stepping aside as he stumbled into the coffee table. I wouldn't do that, I said calmly. The neighbors are watching. I told them I was afraid you might become violent when served with divorce papers. Mrs. Beckett next door has her phone ready to call 911. Parker looked out the window. Sure enough, Mrs. Beckett was on her porch, phone in hand, staring directly at us. You turned them against me? I told them the truth. That you've been having an affair with my best friend. That she's pregnant. That you've been emotionally abusive for years. They drew their own conclusions. Get out of my house. Our house. And no. I live here. You're welcome to leave if you're uncomfortable. I'll make your life hell. You already have. The difference is now I'm returning the favor. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Our wedding photo. I left it there, glass shattered across the floor. It seemed appropriate. Stacy's mistake. 3 days later, Stacy made her first mistake. She showed up at my house while Parker was at work, using the spare key I'd given her months ago. I watched from the security camera app on my phone as she let herself in. He went straight to my jewelry box. I'd expected this. Parker's assets were frozen, which meant he couldn't pay for her apartment or give her money. She was desperate. Desperate people do stupid things. I let her take a few pieces, nothing I cared about but valuable enough to be felony theft. Then I called the police. Someone's in my house, I said, letting fear creep into my voice. I'm watching on my security camera. They're stealing from me. The police arrived within minutes, catching Stacy with my jewelry in her purse. Marjorie, she screeched as they cuffed her. Tell them you gave these to me. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, eyes wide with fake innocence. Why would I give you my grandmother's jewelry? You are vindictive. You set me up. Ma'am, you're going to need to calm down, the officer said. She's sleeping with my husband. Stacy screamed. She's just jealous. The officers looked at me, then at Stacy's very pregnant belly, then back at me. She's having an affair with my husband, I said quietly, tears I'd been saving for this moment rolling down my cheeks. She's pregnant with his child. I just found out. And now she's stealing from me too. The sympathy from the officers was instant. Poor wronged wife, betrayed by husband and best friend, now being robbed by them too. Stacy was arrested. Parker had to bail her out using money he didn't have. The charges would stick. I had video evidence. He'd have a record. Good luck getting a job with that. Nathan called me a week after the divorce papers were served. Marjorie, I heard about you and Parker. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Nathan. I know you two don't talk much anymore. Not since. He paused. Not since Grandma died. Nathan, can I ask you something? Did your grandmother's will seem strange to you? Silence. Then, why do you ask? I found some documents. I think Parker might have forged some things. I'm not sure, but if you wanted to look into it. What kind of documents? I sent him everything. The original will I'd found hidden in Parker's safe. The forged version that had been filed. Bank statements showing Parker had received all the inheritance. Photos of Parker practicing their grandmother's signature. Nathan's callback was immediate. That son of a bastard. He stole everything. $3 million, Marjorie. He stole $3 million from me. I'm so sorry, Nathan. I should have said something sooner. You couldn't have known. God, no wonder he cut me off. He knew I'd figure it out eventually. What are you going to do? I'm going to bury him. Legally speaking. I have more evidence if you need it. Parker wasn't very careful about hiding things. Send me everything. I did. Financial records, recordings, photographs. Years of Parker's crimes, meticulously documented by his invisible wife. 2 weeks after serving divorce papers, the FBI showed up at Parker's office. Someone had reported suspicious financial activity. Multiple someones actually. His brother. His wife. An anonymous tip that might have come from his wife's lawyer. Parker was arrested at his desk in front of everyone. Handcuffed and perp walked through the office. He'd ruled like a king. The charges were extensive. Embezzlement. Tax fraud. Wire fraud. Forgery. The federal prosecutor, a woman named Catherine Sharp, told me they had enough to put him away for 20 years minimum. Your evidence was very helpful, she said, sitting across from me in my lawyer's office. Very thorough. I'm detail-oriented, I said modestly. I need to ask, did you know about these crimes while they were being committed? I suspected some financial irregularities, I said carefully. Reynolds had prepped me for this. But Parker handled all our finances. He said it was too complicated for me to understand. I only started looking into things when I discovered his affair. I wanted to know what else he'd been hiding. She nodded. You're not under investigation, Mrs. Dominic. You're a witness. A very valuable witness. Whatever helps, I said. I just want the truth to come out. With his assets frozen and legal bills mounting, Parker couldn't pay for Stacy's apartment. She was evicted within a month. Her car was repossessed the same week. She tried to move in with Parker, but he was staying with a friend who wouldn't allow it. I watched from a distance as their relationship imploded. Without money, Parker had nothing to offer Stacy. Without Parker's support, Stacy had nowhere to go. He called me crying one night. Marjorie, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I need help. What kind of help? I'm 6 months pregnant and homeless. My parents won't talk to me. Parker won't return my calls. Please, you were my best friend. Were, I said. Past tense. You ended that friendship when you slept with my husband. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen, Stacy? Tell me. I'm curious about your grand plan. She sobbed harder. Parker said he loved me. Said he'd leave you. Said we'd have a family together. And you believed him? The man who was lying to his wife every day? You thought he'd be honest with you? I loved him. No, you loved his money. His stability. The life he thought he could give you. How's that working out? You're cruel. I learned from the best. You and Parker taught me exactly how cruel people can be to someone who loves them. The baby is innocent in this. Is it? Is it even Parker's? Silence. Too long a silence. It is, she said finally, but the protest was weak. When did you really get pregnant, Stacy? As I did the math. You were already pregnant when you started sleeping with Parker. Who's the father? Kevin. That bartender you were seeing. How did you? I pay attention. Unlike you and Parker, I actually listen when people talk. You told me about Kevin yourself. Drunk at my birthday party, remember? You said he was amazing in bed but terrible with money. More sobbing. Get a paternity test, I said. If it's really Parker's, he'll have to pay child support. From prison, granted, but the state will garnish his wages when he gets out in 20 years. 20 years. Oh, you haven't heard? The charges keep piling up. Turns out Parker was involved in some other things. Ugly things. The kind that make embezzlement look like jaywalking. What kind of things? The kind that involve former business partners who died in mysterious accidents. But I'm sure you knew nothing about that. Just like you knew nothing about him switching my fertility medication. I didn't know he was going to prison for murder. No, I suppose you didn't. Bad luck, Stacy. You always did have terrible taste in men. I hung up and blocked her number. She'd made her choices. Now she could live with them. A month into the federal investigation, they found something I hadn't even known about. 2 of Parker's former business partners had died in the last 3 years. One in a car accident. Brakes failed. One from a heart attack, caused by a medication interaction no one could explain. Both had been threatening to expose Parker's embezzlement. The FBI found emails, payments to suspicious individuals, a search history that included undetectable poisons, and how to make a car accident look real. Parker the thief became Parker the suspected murderer. I sat in Catherine Sharp's office as she explained the new charges. We believe your husband arranged the deaths of Thomas Morrison and Dale Hendricks. My hand went to my stomach, now showing slightly under my loose sweater. He killed people? Allegedly. But the evidence is strong. Mrs. Dominic, were you ever afraid for your safety? I thought about all the times Parker had grabbed me too hard, left bruises on my arms. The times he'd thrown things near me but not at me. The slow escalation of violence I'd been documenting for months. Yes. Especially after I found out about the affair. He was so angry when I filed for divorce. We'd like to offer you protective custody. Is that necessary? Your husband has allegedly killed 2 people who threatened his freedom. You're the star witness in multiple cases against him. Yes, I'd say it's necessary. I agreed. They moved me to a safe house within 24 hours. A nice one actually. 2 bedrooms, good neighborhood security system. Better than staying in the house where every room held poison memories. I watched Parker's arraignment on the news. He looked haggard, unshaven, wearing an orange jumpsuit that made his skin look sallow. The confident, cruel man who'd laughed at my pregnancy was gone. This was a broken shell. The judge denied bail. Flight risk, they said. Danger to witnesses. His lawyer tried to argue, but the evidence was overwhelming. The embezzlement alone would have been enough, but the murder charges? Parker was finished. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness, just a hollow emptiness where my love for him used to live. That night, the baby kicked for the first time. A real kick, not just flutters. I was 6 months pregnant now, round and glowing in a way I'd never been with the fertility treatments. This pregnancy was different. Natal. Hello, little one, I whispered. Don't worry about all this mess. Mommy's taking care of everything. Stacy had the baby 2 weeks later. A boy, according to the announcement I saw on social media. No father listed. No Parker there for the birth. She demanded a paternity test through her lawyer. Parker from jail had agreed. He was so sure it was his son, his legacy. The results came back negative. Parker wasn't the father. Kevin the bartender was. I heard Parker had to be sedated when he found out. Full psychotic break, screaming about being tricked, about everyone betraying him. They put him on suicide watch. Stacy tried to contact Kevin, but he'd moved to California with his new girlfriend. Wanted nothing to do with Stacy or the baby. She was alone, truly alone, with a child she'd convinced herself would be her meal ticket. My daughter was born on a snowy December morning. Emergency C-section, she was early but strong. 6 pounds of fury and determination, screaming her arrival to the world. I named her Victoria. It seemed appropriate. Nathan was there. Sweet Nathan, who'd become my friend through all of this. He held my hand during the surgery since I had no one else. She's beautiful, he said, tears in his eyes as he held her for the first time. She looks just like you. She didn't look like Parker at all. Dark hair like mine, my nose, my stubborn chin. Later, the paternity test Parker demanded from his cell would confirm what I already knew. She wasn't his. That one drunken night at a medical conference 8 months ago. A stranger whose name I never knew. A moment of weakness that became my greatest strength. Victoria was mine. Only mine. Free from Parker's poison genetics. free from his legacy of cruelty and crime. Your ex is an idiot, the nurse said, helping me breastfeed for the first time. Letting you go. He didn't let me go, I corrected. I escaped. Parker's trial began when Victoria was 3 months old. I testified for 3 days, detailing years of emotional abuse, financial manipulation and reproductive coercion. I brought receipts, literal and figurative. Every cruel text, every threatening voicemail, every piece of evidence I'd collected over months of invisible suffering. He told me I was worthless, I said from the witness stand, Victoria sleeping in Nathan's arms in the gallery. That I was fat and useless. That my only purpose was to pay bills and give him children. When I couldn't get pregnant, he blamed me, made me feel broken. All while he was secretly sabotaging our attempts. Objection, Parker's lawyer said. Speculation. I have the vitamin bottles, I said calmly. Tested by an independent lab. They were sugar pills. Placebos. For 6 months, my husband watched me cry over my infertility, while he was actively causing it. The jury looked disgusted. Several women were crying. And then I found out about the affair, I continued. My best friend. Pregnant with what they claimed was his child. They laughed at me. Called my baby a bastard. How did that make you feel? The prosecutor asked. Free, I said, surprising everyone. For the first time in years I felt free. Because I finally saw him for what he really was. Not my husband, not my partner, but my enemy. And you can fight enemies. You can defeat them. Parker tried to make eye contact from the defendant's table. I looked right through him. He no longer existed to me. Guilty on all counts. 25 to life for the murders. Another 20 for embezzlement and fraud. Sentences to run consecutively. Parker would die in prison. He collapsed when the verdict was read. Had to be carried out by bailiffs. The last time I saw him he was sobbing, calling my name, begging me to help him. I walked out of the courthouse with Victoria in my arms and didn't look back. I ran into Stacy a year later at a grocery store. She was working the checkout, her son in daycare. She'd aged 10 years in one. Gray roots showing, uniform hanging off her too thin frame, defeat in every line of her face. She saw me before I saw her. I could have gone to another line, but I didn't. I wanted her to see what she'd lost. Victoria was in her carrier, babbling happily. I was dressed well. The divorce settlement had been generous, and Parker's brother Nathan had made sure I was taken care of financially. I looked good. Healthy. Happy. Paper or plastic? Stacy asked, not meeting my eyes. Plastic is fine. She scanned my items in silence. Organic baby food. Fresh vegetables. The expensive coffee I could never afford when I was with Parker. She's beautiful, Stacy said finally, looking at Victoria. Yes, she is. I'm sorry, Marjorie. For everything. I was stupid and selfish and... Yes, you were. She flinched. I loved him. No, you didn't. You loved what you thought he could give you. And he loved hurting me through you. Neither of you knew what love actually was. Do you hate me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. Hating you would mean you still matter to me. You don't. She finished bagging my groceries. Have a nice day, she said automatically. I will, I said. I do. Every day without you and Parker in it is a nice day. I left her there at her register in her polyester uniform, living the life she'd earned. Victoria is 5 now. Brilliant, fierce, full of light. She asks about her father sometimes. I tell her the truth. He was someone I met once, someone who gave me the greatest gift without knowing it. She accepts this with the easy wisdom children have. Nathan comes by every Sunday. He's not her father, but he's the uncle she chose. He teaches her chess, reads her stories, loves her fiercely. Sometimes I catch him looking at me with something more than friendship in his eyes, but we both know we're not ready. Maybe someday. Maybe never. For now this is enough. Parker writes letters from prison. I burn them unopened in the fireplace while Victoria sleeps. Reynolds, my lawyer, tells me Parker found religion, claims he's changed, wants forgiveness. He can ask God for that, I tell Reynolds. God might listen. I won't. The house on Berkshire Avenue sold years ago. We live in a different state now, a small town where no one knows our story. Victoria goes to a good school. I work from home as a financial consultant. Turns out all those years managing Parker's chaos made me very good at managing money. Sometimes I Google Stacy. Last I heard she was living with her sister in Ohio working double shifts at a warehouse. Her son would be 5 now too. I wonder if she tells him about his father. I wonder if she ever tells him about the woman she betrayed to get him. But mostly I don't think about her at all. Victoria's 5th birthday party was small but perfect. A few friends from school, Nathan, my neighbor Mrs. Yoshida who'd become like a grandmother to Victoria. Pink balloons, unicorn cake, more presents than any child needs. Make a wish, sweetheart, I said as she blew out her candles. Later, after everyone left and Victoria was asleep surrounded by new toys, I found myself standing at her window watching the stars. Nathan came up beside me quiet like always. You did it, he said softly. Did what? Survived. Thrived. Built something beautiful from ashes. I got lucky. No, he said firmly. Luck had nothing to do with it. You were strategic, patient, brilliant. You took 2 people who tried to destroy you and you destroyed them instead. Legally, he added with a small smile. Ethically even. You just revealed who they really were. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. Do you really? I thought about Parker in his cell growing old alone. About Stacy struggling to raise a child she'd conceived through deception. About the years I'd spent thinking I was worthless, broken, unlovable. No, I admitted. I don't. Good. They made their choices. You just made sure there were consequences. Victoria stirred in her bed, mumbling something about unicorns. Nathan and I both turned to watch her, this tiny miracle who existed despite everything. She's going to be formidable, Nathan said. She already is. Like her mother. Her mother learned the hard way. I hope she never has to. Nathan squeezed my shoulder gently. She won't. You'll make sure of that. One letter I didn't burn. It came not from Parker but from Stacy, forwarded through Reynolds a month after Victoria's birthday. Marjorie, I know you'll probably throw this away unread, but I need to write it anyway. You were right about everything. Kevin wasn't just the father of my son, he was the 3rd guy I was sleeping with while telling Parker the baby was his. I was drowning in debt, about to be homeless, and I saw Parker as my life raft. I convinced myself I loved him because I needed to love him. I needed him to save me. I knew about the vitamins. I'm the one who suggested it. I told him it would be kinder than divorce, that you'd eventually give up and leave on your own. I pushed him to be crueler, to break you down faster. Every time you cried to me about your infertility, I was reporting back to him, helping him twist the knife. I am not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that every single day I live with what I did. My son asks about his father and I have to tell him Daddy didn't want us. I work 16-hour days and still can't afford the life I threw away. I see your face every time I close my eyes. Not the broken woman in the bathroom, but the strong one in the courtroom who stood up and told the truth. You won. Not because you destroyed us but because you survived us. You built a life from the wreckage we tried to leave you in. You became everything we said you couldn't be. Parker thought you were weak because you were quiet. I thought you were stupid because you were kind. We were both wrong. You were a warrior in waiting and we were fools who woke the dragon. I hope Victoria never knows what her mother went through. I hope she grows up surrounded by the love we tried to steal from you. I hope she inherits your strength but never needs to use it the way you did. Don't forgive me. I don't forgive myself. But thank you for teaching me the hardest lesson of my life. That when you destroy someone else's happiness to build your own, you end up with nothing but ruins. Stacy. I read it twice then filed it away. Not out of sentiment but as evidence. Evidence that I had been right. Evidence that my cruelty had been justice. Evidence that sometimes revenge isn't about anger. It's about balance. The universe demands balance. Parker and Stacy tipped the scales so far against me that the comeback was inevitable. I just helped it along. The call came on a Tuesday. Reynolds, his voice careful and professional. Parker is dead. I felt nothing. Then a slight relief, like finally closing a door that had been banging in the wind. How? Prison fight. Apparently he owed the wrong people money. Gambling debts. Of course. Parker always thought he was smarter than everyone else. That arrogance followed him to prison and finally caught up. The state will cremate him unless next of kin claims the body. I'm not next of kin. We've been divorced for years. Nathan declined. You're listed as emergency contact still. Then let the state handle it. Marjorie. He's been dead to me for 5 years, Reynolds. This just makes it official. I hung up and went back to making Victoria's lunch. Peanut butter and jelly, cut into triangles the way she liked. Apple slices. A note in her lunchbox saying, "Mommy loves you." Normal mother things. The things I'd thought I'd never get to do when I stood in that bathroom believing I was worthless. Parker was dead. The man who'd tried to break me, who'd laughed at my pain, who'd called my daughter a bastard before she was even born, gone. I waited to feel something. Sadness maybe for the man I'd once loved. Or satisfaction that he'd suffered. Or anger that he'd escaped the full weight of his sentence. That I felt free. Completely, finally free. The last chain to my old life had been severed. That night I told Nathan. He offered to stay thinking I might be upset. "I'm fine," I said and meant it. Actually, I'm better than fine. It's like a book I didn't like finally ended and now I can put it on the shelf and never think about it again. That's cold, Marjorie. Is it? He tried to destroy me. He poisoned my body, my mind, my sense of self. He made me believe I was broken. He laughed, when I told him I was pregnant. Cold would be celebrating his death. I'm just indifferent. And Stacy. What about her? Are you going to tell her? She'll find out. Or she won't. Either way, it's not my problem. Victoria ran into the room then, covered in finger paint from her art project, and the conversation ended. My daughter needed a bath, then dinner, then stories. Real life, good life, the life I'd built from ruins. Parker's death was just a footnote. The real story had moved on without him years ago. Nathan proposed on Victoria's 6th birthday. Not at the party, he wasn't that thoughtless. Later, after everyone had gone home and Victoria was asleep, he found me on the porch watching fireflies. "I've been waiting," he said simply. "Waiting for you to heal, to be ready to trust again. But I realized something. You're already healed. You're already ready. You already trust. You just trust yourself now, not others. And that's perfect." The ring had been his grandmother's. The same grandmother Parker had stolen from. Nathan had recovered some of the inheritance through the lawsuit, but more importantly, he'd recovered family heirlooms Parker had hidden. "It should have gone to Parker's wife," Nathan said. "It's going to the right person just 5 years late." I said yes. Not because I needed him, but because I wanted him. There's a difference and it matters. We married in our backyard, just family and close friends. Victoria was the flower girl, so serious in her pink dress, scattering rose petals with mathematical precision. She'd started calling Nathan Dad months before, naturally, without anyone asking her to. During the reception, Mrs. Beckett from our old neighborhood pulled me aside. She'd driven 3 hours to be there. "I remember that night," she said, "when that horrible man was screaming at you. I had my phone ready to call the police. I remember. Thank you. I never told you, but I left my first husband 30 years ago. He was like yours, cruel, unfaithful. But I didn't have your strength. I just ran. You stood and fought. I had to. I had Victoria to think about." "No," she said firmly. "You fought before you knew about her. You fought the moment you walked into that bathroom and didn't crumble. That's who you are, a fighter. That baby just gave you a reason to win." As Nathan and I danced that evening, Victoria spinning in circles nearby, I thought about how different this wedding was from my first. With Parker, it had been about appearance. The perfect venue, the designer dress, the impressive guest list. With Nathan, it was about joy. Simple, honest joy. No regrets. Nathan asked, reading my contemplative mood. "None. Every terrible thing that happened led me here. I wouldn't change a single moment. Even the pain? Especially the pain. It taught me I was stronger than I knew." Stacy showed up 3 days after the wedding. I don't know how she found us. We'd been careful about privacy. But there she was, standing at my door looking 60 at 35. "Congratulations," she said, voice rough from cigarettes I could smell on her clothes. "What do you want, Stacy?" "To see you. To see that you're real. I sometimes think I dreamed you, that woman in the courtroom who destroyed us all with just the truth. I didn't destroy anyone. You did that yourselves." Her son was in the car, face pressed against the window. Same age as Victoria, different life entirely. "Is she home?" "Victoria?" "No. It was a lie. Victoria was upstairs with Nathan doing puzzles. But Stacy didn't deserve to see her, to know her, to exist in the same space as my daughter's innocence. I heard about Parker, she said. Okay. Do you feel anything? Relief that he'll never be able to contact Victoria. Beyond that, no. I loved him, she said, and for the first time I thought she might be telling the truth. It was toxic and wrong and built on lies, but I loved him. Then I'm sorry for your loss. She laughed, bitter and broken. You're not sorry about anything. You won. You got everything. I got free, I corrected. Then I built everything. There's a difference. I hate you, she said quietly. I hate you for being right. For being strong. For surviving what we did to you. That's fine. Your hatred doesn't touch me anymore. Nothing about you touches me. She stood there for another moment, this ghost from a different life, then walked back to her car. Her son waved at me as they drove away. I waved back. He was innocent in all this. Another child born from deception who'd have to find his own way to truth. Victoria came downstairs after they left. Who was that, Mommy? Nobody important, sweetheart. Just someone from a long time ago. Before Dad. Before everything good, I said, pulling her into a hug. Before you, before Dad, before our real life started. Was she mean to you? Children see everything even when we think we're protecting them. Once upon a time, yes. But not anymore. She can't be mean to me anymore because I don't let her. Good, Victoria said fiercely. Nobody's allowed to be mean to my mommy. That's right, baby. Nobody is. I'm writing this 10 years after that day in the bathroom. Victoria is 13 now, all legs and opinions and brilliant fire. She knows the whole story, age-appropriate versions I've shared as she's grown. She knows her biological father was a stranger, that the man who tried to claim her was a monster, that the woman who was supposed to be my friend was anything but. She also knows that Nathan is her real father in every way that matters. That family isn't about blood but about choice. That strength isn't about never falling but about how you stand back up. Parker has been dead for 7 years. Stacy disappeared after that last visit. I heard she moved back to her hometown, lives with her parents, works at her father's hardware store. Her son would be 13 too. I hope he's happy. I hope he's nothing like the man his mother tried to pretend was his father. Nathan and I had 2 more children. Twins, boys, conceived naturally without a single vitamin or pill. The irony isn't lost on me. The body Parker convinced me was broken works just fine. It was never my body that was the problem. Sometimes young women reach out to me. They've heard my story somehow, the internet never forgets, and they want to know how I did it. How I survived. How I fought back. How I won. I tell them the truth. I didn't win because I was special. I won because I was patient. Because I documented everything. Because I used their arrogance against them. Because I refused to be the victim they'd cast me as. But mostly I won because I understood a simple truth. People who will betray you once will betray everyone eventually. Parker betrayed his brother, his company, his partners. Of course he betrayed me. Stacy betrayed her husband, her best friend, even Parker in the end. Betrayal was who they were. I just made sure everyone else saw it too. The bathroom in our new house is painted yellow, Victoria's choice. Sunshine yellow she calls it. No shadows, no steam, no secrets. Nathan sings in the shower, badly. The twins splash water everywhere. Victoria takes forever doing her hair. It's chaos. Beautiful, normal, loving chaos. The sound of a real family, not the performance Parker and I had staged. Sometimes I stand in the doorway of that yellow bathroom and remember another bathroom, another life, another woman who thought she was broken. I want to reach back through time and tell her, you're not broken. You're not worthless. You're about to become magnificent. But she wouldn't believe me. She had to learn it herself through pain and planning and patience. She had to transform from victim to victor, from invisible to undeniable. She had to become me. And that transformation, that evolution from the woman who froze in a doorway to the woman who brought down an empire of lies, that wasn't revenge. That was justice. And justice, unlike revenge, doesn't leave you empty. It fills you with the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you didn't just survive. You prevailed. You didn't just endure. You evolved. You didn't just expose the truth. You became it. My name is Marjorie Collins now. I kept my maiden name when I married Nathan, needing something that was just mine. I'm a mother, a wife, a financial consultant, a survivor. I make school lunches and attend PTA meetings and help with homework. I'm visible in all the right ways now, seen by people who actually value me. Parker died thinking he'd won something by making me feel worthless. Stacy lives knowing she lost everything by believing I was. They were both wrong. I was never worthless. I was waiting. And when my moment came, when the universe gave me the chance to balance the scales, I didn't hesitate. I didn't forgive. I didn't forget. I destroyed them with their own weapons. Lies, betrayal, greed. I used their cruelty as evidence, their arrogance as opportunity, their dismissal of me as the perfect camouflage. They called my daughter a bastard. Now she's an honor student. They said I was too fat and stupid to matter. Now I run a successful consulting firm. They laughed at my pain. Now they're the punchline to their own joke. Parker is dead. Stacy is broken. And I am exactly who I was always meant to be, just with more scar tissue and better boundaries. I am proof that the quiet ones are dangerous. That the kind ones have limits. That the invisible ones see everything. I am Marjorie Collins and I am no one's victim. Not anymore. Not ever again.